And what is up, boys and girls? It's the return of the RCWR show live, coming at you this Thursday night for May 29th, 2014. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're doing a little bit of a detour this week, but for you TNA wrestling fans, I definitely want you to stick around because I got some very important news as far as TNA wrestling fallout. But for right now, all the talk is about WWE NXT Takeover, which was a special 2-hour event on the WWE network, and man, god damn, was that a great special that the WWE network had. I must say, from beginning to end, top to bottom, just overall a fantastic event. If you guys were not able to check it out, just kick on back, relax, we'll get you guys caught up on what all you had missed. As always, we love hearing from you guys. You can interact with us a number of ways. You can post those comments right down below. You can also give this piece a thumbs up. You can Google Plus it, Facebook it, retweet it. It's one of the many ways you can spread the good word about our content. You can interact with me on Twitter at the RCWR Show. I am looking at the Twitter timeline right now, or hit me up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. And this episode, by the way, is being sponsored in part by our good friends over at Big Sky Wrestling, where there is no limit when it comes to all things wrestling, great entertainment, and beyond. Check them out, BigSkyWrestling.com. Follow them on Twitter and Facebook at the same name. They're actually going to be making their debut late June. Very pumped up for that. We're actually going to be working with them to see if we can score a few interviews with you guys so that you get an idea of what the card is going to be like. But yeah, once again, tonight's episode being sponsored in part by Big Sky Wrestling. I told you guys last week, and you know what? I got to say this real quick while it's WWE related. I saw like a couple of comments from people that were like, where's the WWE Raw review? If you guys are not following us on Twitter and Facebook, you really need to be, okay? Because the last episode that we did for you guys, I think like, let me see, right before the Memorial holiday, I think we had came on Monday night to talk about fallout from Raw like last week or something like that, or maybe it was Thursday night's Impact Showdown. But we told you guys that we were going to take this past Monday on a minute-to-minute basis, depending on how Raw had looked, and we actually skipped the night due to the Memorial holiday, as we did go in depth talking about WWE Raw on our Tuesday night radio edition of the RCWR show. So if you're not checking us out on the radio version, you really need to, because we actually go like all over the place. It's a really great show to check out. Do that when you guys get a chance. But yeah, if you're not following us on Twitter and Facebook, you really should, because we kept reminding you guys like all throughout the day on Monday that we weren't going to be doing a Raw review show for you guys. Just thought I'd mention that. Let's talk about WWE NXT now. I mean, this was an event that I've been pumped up for past couple of weeks now, and as I had talked about on our radio edition of the RCWR show from this past weekend, the NXT product, it's like really a diamond in the rough. It is like one of the best gems that the WWE has right now. I mean, if I were to just rate the programs in general, I would have to say, for me, Raw is still that number one flagship, I guess, for me personally, because I grew up on it, and you know, there's still that part of me that is always going to be connected to the Attitude Era and all that, and the wrestling that had came forth in the 80s and all that. So for me, Raw is always going to continue to be that flagship. But my number two, it used to be SmackDown, but I don't know what's going on with SmackDown. It kind of seems like it's not quite what it used to be, as there used to be a time where SmackDown, and this is just my honest opinion, I know there are a lot of you that probably might have felt this way at some point, SmackDown was the number two show. Hell, at many points, SmackDown was the number one show over Raw. But the way it seems to be looking now with the WWE landscape, I mean, WWE's NXT, man, it looks like it's slowly creeping up to that number one spot. It is just a really great product. As tonight, WWE TakeOver, I loved how things had kicked off. And by the way, great post-show that we had. Well, actually, not the post-show, the pre-show with Renee Young, Paul Heyman, Antonio Cesaro made a brief cameo. We saw the return of Mr. One More Match, Christian. That was a great panel right there. I swore, though, for the 30 minutes that I was watching it, I just really had got the impression that Renee Young was trying to just screw the hell out of Paul Heyman and not give him a chance to talk. It just seemed like she kept going to Christian, and it's like, Paul Heyman's right there. You got the greatest advocate slash manager of like all time, one of the best guys that can talk, and he's not talking. Something's wrong with this. And it kind of seemed like after about almost 15 minutes, we saw Paul Heyman kind of just inject himself in there. Now, I don't know if he talked in the first 5 minutes of the pre-show, because I actually came in 5 minutes late, but it just seemed like there was at least 10, almost 15 minutes where he wasn't talking, and he just kind of had to inject himself in there and everything. But I was glad that he finally had spoke his piece and everything. And I love how they pretty much had set up Takeover tonight as Adam Rose arrived in his tour bus, and he's got the bunny and his entourage, and they're just doing their whole little chant into the ring as Camacho taking on Adam Rose. That was our first match. Great opener, too. I really did not feel I was going to get into it like that because, and I'm guilty, I've been hitting the fast forward for the past couple of weeks when I've seen these two guys collide. And, you know, honestly, it kind of makes me feel a little bad that I didn't, you know, just let their segments play out when I was watching it all come about on NXT initially. But I'm glad that I sat through this match and I just really took my time and watched it with just a new, fresh set of eyes. I must admit, you know, and hey, I can be the bigger man right here. I definitely was very, very hard on Adam Rose. I told you guys that as far as his gimmick goes, and I still kind of feel this way now, I still cannot really make that connection with his gimmick. I think it's a little bit silly and everything. That's just my honest opinion, and hey, I could be wrong with that. It's okay for us to disagree. Doesn't mean that we're stupid or we're dumb or anything like that. It's just we may disagree, and it's okay to disagree. But, you know, his in-ring ability, as I really did not get a chance to really watch him. I mean, really see what this guy is capable of. I must say, this was my first time tonight really watching him in-ring action-wise, and he definitely has a lot to offer. I can definitely see and understand why WWE is trying very hard to get behind this guy, because when it's all said and done, yeah, he can put on a damn good match. I was more impressed with him than Camacho. I actually kind of felt like Adam Rose was carrying the match for the most part. We saw Adam Rose pick up the victory over Camacho. You know, today is Ascension Day. No, literally. It really is. If you have the right type of calendar, it actually says that today is Ascension Day. And what better way to celebrate than with Victor and Connor of the Ascension as they took on the new team of El Local. And let me make sure I get this name right because I've only seen this guy a couple of times now on NXT, Kalisto. I said this over the weekend, WWE, Magnifico signing Kalisto, because this guy is like your new Rey Mysterio. I mean, literally, you know, I said this over the weekend, you know, WWE, they had their little failed experiment with Ultimo Dragon, you know, that really didn't work out so well. They keep going to Rey Mysterio, but he keeps getting injured, so it's not quite what he used to be. The original Sin Cara, well, that really didn't quite work out too well. We got the new Sin Cara, a.k.a. Hunico. He seems to be doing fairly well, but, you know, as far as that whole connection with the audience and all that, I don't know, man. There's something about Kalisto that I really like that just kind of has me go, damn, I got to watch this guy. Entertaining as hell, I must say. Great tag team match, too, between both of these teams. Really, another great opener to kick off TNA. I said TNA. My bad, guys. I got, like, my shows because I was actually watching both at the same time, so forgive me. But it was a really great opener for TakeOver. Really enjoyed that. We actually saw the Ascension retain their NXT Tag Team Championships. But you know what? I have a strong feeling that Kalisto and El Local are just getting started. I think this could possibly be the end of days for the Ascension because I'm just looking further down the road. And you know what? Victor and Connor, who do these two guys remind you of? Just think about it for a second, you old school wrestling fans. There's a couple of names that you'll probably throw out there, but to me, off the break, they just remind me of a young, updated version of the Road Warriors. That's just really how much they remind me of. That just kind of makes me wonder what would happen if those two tag teams would have collided back in the day. You know what I'm saying? When Road Warriors were like at their absolute best, between these two tag teams, which one would have came out on top is what I wonder. But, I see nothing but big things happening in the future of the Ascension. As I'm looking down the road, these guys have beaten like practically every single tag team that's been put their way in NXT, that I kind of can't help but say, all right, well, is maybe before this year out going to be when the WWE decides, you know what? Let's pull that trigger and let's have the Ascension move up to main WWE program. And I don't know about you guys, but the way it's looking right now, I dare say if I were to make an early prediction, I think before this calendar year is out, Victor and Connor are going to be coming up main WWE programming, and I think it's going to be a great breath of fresh air for the WWE universe. It would not even surprise me one little bit if we see a scenario come about where maybe by the time the Ascension comes up main WWE programming, they basically are stepping up to the plate to possibly take the titles away from maybe Wyatt Family's Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. Just some food for thought right there. Let me know what you guys think, you longtime NXT fans. Moving along, we had saw what was the beginning of a new trend for the majority of the night as far as new music goes for certain NXT wrestlers. Sami Zayn, he kind of came out to some type of inspired fun music. And when I say fun, I don't mean like, let's have some fun. I mean like fun as in the band Fun. The music was it's going to take me a while to get used to. I mean, it's not brutally bad. I thought it was fairly decent, but I missed the old stuff that he was pushing already, But the way that they have this music set up, it kind of gives you an opportunity to jump in there and chant your ole, 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 But Tyler Breeze came out to some new music. It seems like, who is it? Jim Johnson that does all the WWE music or whatever. Seems like he has Tyler Breeze coming out to his own HBK Shawn Michaels inspired music, as you hear Tyler singing his own theme now, and it's just it sucks. I was chanting, or actually I was interacting with a couple of you guys tonight, and special shout out to those of you I was interacting with during NXT TakeOver. There was a lot of you guys that was like, nah, man, this new Tyler Breeze music is whack. He needs to go back to the old one. I'm hoping that this was just for TakeOver and things will go back to normal on the very next episode of NXT. But yeah, I wasn't feeling it one little bit. I've gotten so used to that whole techno beat, and it just fits him so well, especially when you see his little boots and he's walking around and then he just hits you with that pose as he's looking at himself in the cell phone and all that. Gorgeous. That still just like has me laugh hysterically to this day. Of all the unique Twitter handles to give yourself, right? I mean, just brilliant right there. I would have never came up with gorgeous. I mean, that's just solid, awesome right there. The match itself, boys and girls, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. If NXT were to have its own respected category for match of the year, what Sami Zayn and Tyler Breeze did tonight, they blew the roof off Full Sail University. This was a damn good matchup. You thought Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro part 1 and 2 was something. What these guys did tonight, man, I actually put a tweet out there. I said, these guys, they gave us the match of the year for NXT. this calendar year so far. And this year ain't even out yet. I mean, we're just barely at the halfway mark for this year. I can't wait to see what else is going to be coming from NXT. But this was a really great, straight up, pure wrestling match. Not so much on the technical aspect as far as like series of counters and all that. But I mean, this was just your straight up, pure wrestling match. This was just one of those matches. You didn't have to tweet. You didn't have to be on Instagram. Just let your phone be. Watch this match. That's just how damn good it was. We actually saw Tyler Breeze, whether you guys believe it or not, pick up the victory over Sami Zayn. And it was a little bit of a controversial finish that had came about because, like, in the last few seconds of this match, we actually saw Tyler Breeze in the corner, and he was trying to gain his composure, and Sami Zayn had just charged at him. And we saw Tyler Breeze at like the last second. He like put up his hand almost like he was trying to make sure his face didn't get messed up. And I was really kind of getting the vibe that it wasn't, intentional, that it was just instant. But in either case, when he threw his hand up, Tyler Breeze, well, let's just say he got a little bit more than he bargained for, because by throwing up that hand, Sami Zayn running into it, pretty much groin first, if you will. And pretty much after that, Tyler Breeze was able to pick up the W. So as a result of that victory, as this was to determine the number one contender that will face the NXT champion at a later date, Tyler Breeze, he's got a fine date with delight in meeting the NXT champion. But then the $1 million question, who would that NXT champion be? Would it be Adrian Neville, or would it be Tyson Kidd? We'll tell you a little bit more about that later part of the show. I want to take this time out to welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. If it's your first time checking us out, I'm your host right here, Lee Sanders, and you're checking out the RCWR show live. And if you're enjoying our recap and review of NXT TakeOver so far, go out of your way, leave those comments down below. You can also share this piece by Google Plusing it, retweeting it, Facebooking it, one of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content, all right? Love to have you subscribe, too. We always do some really cool, unique stuff, live stuff just like this every single week for you guys. So WWE Universe, you're looking for a nice little place you can call home, you'll definitely find it here with us. One thing that kind of jumped out there at me while we were just briefly mentioning Tyson Kidd and his match against Adrian Neville for the NXT Championship. They showed a highlight of Michael Cole interviewing Tyson Kidd and Natalya. And Michael Cole, I don't know what the hell was going on here. He kind of seemed like he was really stirring the pot as he was asking Tyson, okay, look, you both have championship matches at NXT TakeOver. Tyson, are you really going to support your wife 100% if you don't pick up the W over Adrian Neville? Because a lot of folks will basically look at you losing this great opportunity and just basically say, Tyson Kidd, great wrestler, but he can never really reach for that brass ring. He's forever going to be in the shadow of his wife, And if you've been watching Total Divas, I haven't. I'm just going based off what they've been saying. Apparently, Tyson Kidd is kind of like living in the shadow of Natalya because she's having all this great success. Meanwhile, he's kind of like trying to find himself in the company and all that. We saw Natalya cut off Tyson. She wasn't even allowing him to speak as she was trying to defend him. And we kind of saw that kind of irritated Tyson a little bit. So I don't know if you guys really kind of picked up on that watched it tonight, but that kind of gave you a little bit of a prelude and what to expect in that match that he had against Adrian Neville. Once again, we'll tell you about that towards the end of the show since that was the main event match. We saw a cameo by Alexander Rusev and Lana, talking hot game, bashing America as usual. We saw Mojo Rawley come out to protest. This led to a match. Poor Mojo Rawley. I've actually been a big fan of his. I think he's fairly decent. What do you guys think? He rubs you the right way? I kind of like the guy. He's cool. Rusev beating the crap out of Mojo Rawley, added insult to him post victory as Mojo Rawley tried to limp his way to the backstage area, or rather crawl his way to the backstage area. We had saw Rusev hit him with that camel clutch. I was expecting Big E Langston to come out, but that never happened. Makes you wonder what's possibly going to be happening at the Payback pay-per-view coming up this Sunday. You WWE fans that's going to be checking out Payback, stick around as I have a quick programming note on how you can interact with us during our Payback post-show. From one somewhat talking wrestling segment to another, we went with Paige, new WWE Divas champion. For me, I couldn't actually wait for Paige to stop talking because I just kind of felt like she was going a little bit into OT. I'm not saying she sucked, but at the same time, after about 5 minutes, I was ready to see the next match. Let me put it to you that way. Interesting timing, too, because when Paige came out, it was pretty much 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and Impact Wrestling had came on. And guess what Impact Wrestling was doing for pretty much those first 15 minutes that Paige was talking? Yeah, you guessed it, you TNA fans. There was 15 minutes of talking from TNA. Which talking segment was better? Unfortunately, I have to give the edge to TNA. Paige, she definitely has a long ways to go from what we've been saying the past couple of weeks. The in-ring ability is definitely there, although there's a couple of areas that needs a little bit of work. But the number one thing that she needs to work more on right now is working on those mic skills and really capturing that charisma. She's got the look physically, but now she just really needs to do a better job in channeling it. And you know what? I'm not crapping on Paige. I'm a big fan of hers, okay? So guys, don't take it the wrong way. I know she's young, extremely young. She has a long ways to go, and you know what? She's going to get there in due time, as long as she continues to stay diligent, I feel. She's going to be okay, but honestly, let's be for real. I know there were some of you guys that probably couldn't wait for her to stop talking, because our next match was, and these two girls, man, we're actually Twitter buddies with Natalya, but man, Charlotte, Ric Flair's daughter. What can I say about Charlotte, man? She moves just like her dad. Just watching her do her thing in the ring, man. Awesome. Awesome. This was another match, folks, believe it or not. Another NXT match of the year candidate, I feel. This was a damn good match. Charlotte taking on Natalya for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. Natalya having her uncle Bret Hart in her corner, rooting her on at ringside, while the beautiful and the lovely Charlotte has her father, Ric Flair, at ringside. Doesn't get any better than this. My God. And hey, no Sasha Banks in sight, folks. Let's make sure we get that out there. No Sasha Banks. This match, I was really expecting, Charlotte to channel some of the dirty tactics from her father and everything, but from what I'm able to recall for the majority of this matchup, it was pretty much clean. It was just a straight up good technical match. I couldn't have been any more prouder of these two girls. They really represented big time. And that's the one thing I can say about NXT. I can put my stamp on this, okay? Every single time I personally watch NXT and I see the Divas go at it there, I've never been disappointed. I've never experienced a boring match. And I've been checking out the NXT product since the beginning of this year. I've been managing to check it out religiously, okay? And the girls never disappoint. And it's just one of those things that it's like, it really has me saying, okay, whoever is in charge of the Divas, the way that the booking goes, the wrestling and all that, the way it just all comes together so perfectly in NXT, please bring that up to the main WWE roster, because the main WWE roster needs it bad, very badly, as it just really kind of comes off like main WWE programming, it consists of the Total Divas, and I want a little bit more than that. You know, why not have it be a situation where, hey, okay, you got Raw for 3 hours. Do we really need to just have one diva segment that will involve a match or whatever? Why not go for two? You can go for your traditional, hey, it's the Total Divas. They're having a little match this weekend. You can maybe go with some NXT girls. I'm hoping that before this year is out, Miss Charlotte comes up to the main WWE roster and joins Paige, because I think those two girls, they would have some very interesting matches. Not to mention Charlotte alone, just a different combination of matches she'd be able to have up there on the main roster. I mean, it would just be phenomenal, I think. But I mean, I just was giddy watching this match. You know, for you guys that's like, oh, Lee, you're going overkill. If you did not watch NXT Takeover tonight and you have the WWE Network, make it be your business to check it out. If you're going to check out any match from this event, that is like high up there. I recommend you check that out right after you check out Sami Zayn taking on Tyler Breeze. Folks, Charlotte, Miss Charlotte, is your new NXT Women's Champion, and I could only imagine how proud her father, Ric Flair, was when he saw that crowning achievement for her. He was bawling his eyes out, man. I wasn't sure who won the title. Was it his daughter or was it him, you know? Great stuff right there. And just the classy act that had came about afterwards, as we had saw Natty and Charlotte hug one another, and we kind of saw like that whole wall, if you will. Okay, you're the heel and I'm the baby face. We saw it break for just a few seconds as Charlotte says to Natty, thank you. You know, and if you weren't really paying attention to it, you would have missed it. But yeah, Charlotte actually said to Natty, thank you, you know. And it's so funny because I was paying attention to a lot of the tweets that you guys had put out there, and a lot of you all leading up to this match were under the impression that Natalya was going to get it, but I honestly knew in my heart of hearts that Charlotte was going to get it because she has just been putting her time in there in the NXT developmental territory ever since she made her debut. What was that? Maybe 2011 or 12 or something like that? I mean, she's come a long way and just seems like she continues to get better and better. But damn good matchup right there. Only one more match to talk about. That was the NXT Championship on the line. Adrian Neville taking on Tyson Kidd. You know, good matchup. But man, how I wish things would have closed out with the NXT Women's Championship, because I actually enjoyed that more than I did with the NXT Men's Championship. But decent match nonetheless. Tyson Kidd really bringing his A game. I just love how Tyson Kidd was on the offense early on. He was literally outschooling Adrian. I mean, at one point, he like out wrestled him, and he ended up rubbing Adrian on the head like they're their sport, and you just hear the fans chant, "You got served," you know? And that was just an awesome moment right there. But yeah, man, I mean, these two guys, they definitely put on a classic match, I felt. But again, I really couldn't get behind it like that. But the storytelling that they were doing with Tyson Kidd, I could get behind, because as the match progressed, we saw a little bit more of a cocky, arrogant side of Tyson Kidd that we really haven't been accustomed to over the years. As if you really kind of look back on his career, he's always been kind of that blue chipper type of guy, you know, always trying to do the right thing and all that, you know, being peaceful and everything, just trying to get his props in the WWE and all that. But you know what? There's just a lot of things that add up when you just connect all the dots. No secret what we were going to be getting here tonight from Tyson Kidd, right down to a tweet that he had put out earlier. Had something to do with champions. I wish I could remember it verbatim, but it said something along the lines of, I think he said something like championships aren't made, they're taken, or champions aren't made, they're taken. Something to that extent that kind of made you kind of go, huh, that seems kind of arrogant coming from Tyson Kidd. Adrian Neville retaining the NXT championship. Post-match, though, is where it got really interesting. As you saw Adrian Neville, hard-fought victory, tried to extend a handshake to Tyson. Tyson smacking it. If I'm not mistaken, Adrian tried to go in a second time to shake Tyson's hand. Tyson, he just collects himself and aggressively bumps into Adrian and walks out the ring. I think these guys are just getting started, and contrary to the reports that's going around on the wrestling beat, I hope that WWE is not thinking about putting Tyson Kidd under a mask. He's done that before, and honestly, if push comes to shove, he can easily go back to it again. Let's not forget, the guy, for a good hot minute, he was teaming up with Ricardo Rodriguez, and they were doing the whole Max Luchador thing. So, I mean, if push comes to shove, Tyson should go back to that and maybe do dual duty or whatever, double duty. But I don't think Tyson Kidd needs to go to being under a mask. Not with a good-looking face like that. You know what I'm saying? The girls love those baby faces. They love those nice, pretty white teeth, the nice smile and all that. He's got a nice look. You know, he doesn't need to be under a mask. Same thing with Sami Zayn. I mean, let's be for real. A lot of you guys were very upset. I was a little irritated when we had found out that Sami Zayn wasn't going to be under a mask and everything. But when you see how he looks, you're like, well, hell, he's a good-looking guy. Yeah, he could be like on the front cover of GQ or something like that. Yeah, okay, no problem. Push him. You know what I'm saying? So I hope they keep Tyson away from the mask. But, you know, overall tonight, with regards to WWE NXT, and Triple H did a phenomenal job. If you guys had missed it, he was actually interacting with fans on Twitter for like what was supposed to be, I think, a half hour or whatever, but it ended up going into like an hour plus. And he was just tweeting with people, just back and forth, talking about NXT, just about everything. You know, I got to give my hats off to Triple H. I mean, he did a really good job from that whole production value and everything, but a bigger hats off to the men and women that have performed at tonight's NXT Takeover. Definitely hats off to William Regal and the other commentating team. I'm still kind of new to getting familiar with their names, so I unfortunately can't remember their names right now, but they're the same guys that have been the new team calling Main Event, those guys. I prefer those guys more than when they have the team of Renee Young, Alex Riley, and I can't think of the other guy. I guess he's supposed to be the lead commentator for NXT, though. He's a thick white guy with glasses. I don't. There's something about him. I'm just not able to connect with him that well, and maybe that's why they brought Renee Young in to kind of help him out a little bit. But I hope that in the future that they get rid of him, or maybe have him talk less and let Renee be the lead play-by-play woman, because as a parent from the pre-show tonight, she did a hell of a damn job. I felt she needs to be the new lead girl or lead guy. But overall, just everything. I mean, great commentating tonight, great wrestling, great production, great crowd reaction. Everything clicked tonight with NXT TakeOver. I'm looking forward to seeing their next live event on the WWE Network. And by the way, barely any stream issues for this event. I probably experienced maybe 3 to 5 hiccups max, and it was just basically buffering. But, I mean, other than that, pretty damn good show. What do you guys think about NXT TakeOver? You can sign off, post your comments down below. I'm actually getting ready to pull up what you guys had to say about the NXT event. Now, for you TNA fans, I want to give you guys a heads up. 10:35 p.m. right now. We are definitely going to be doing TNA Impact Wrestling Fallout on a new episode of Impact Showdown, which you'll be able to see live right here on YouTube. We're going to come on just a couple of minutes late. I'm going to say we'll come on at 11:05 p.m. Eastern, okay? Again, we're going to come on at 11:05 p.m. Eastern. That'll give me enough of an opportunity to catch up, see what all I had missed and everything, and really make sure that we have that show be ready to go for you guys, all right? And while I got you all's attention, I was talking about WWE Payback earlier. We're actually going to be doing a live simulcast right here on YouTube, and also do our radio version over at Blog Talk Radio. It'll be airing this Sunday, June 1st at 10:45 p.m. Eastern, or immediately after WWE Payback goes off the air. You'll be able to interact with us. You'll be able to post your comments, interact with us on social media. We'll have a call-in number for you guys, so you can call in and let us know what you thought about that pay-per-view and everything. But definitely represent. Come on now. Love to have you. Get your take on what you had liked and disliked about the Payback pay-per-view that's going to be coming up. Looks like a little bit of a snoozer right now, but I mean, the whole mid-card, when you really look at it on paper, there's a lot of potential to be pretty good. I know a lot of people kind of feel like this one might be a snoozer, but I don't know, man, especially if you check out our WWE Payback Call That Match edition, where I offer match predictions on what all is going to be coming about from the Payback pay-per-view. I give you guys some very interesting ideas on what I think could possibly go down. So check it out when you get done with this. Right now, let's get to you guys' comments. We'll take it from the bottom and we'll work our way to the top. I love the fact that there's not that many comments coming in right now, and we don't have that many viewers, because that means I can quickly get caught up on TNA Wrestling. But for right now, let's see what we got. This comes from Crazy Fans. Well, if you've been watching us up to this point, then you already know who the new champion is. All right? And Cameron, glad to see a NXT review for once. You deserve some good wrestling on Thursdays. This was a great show. What more can be said about Breeze and Sane? These two have a bright future. Charlotte and Natty were on point. Very impressed with them as well. Very surprised to see Mojo get killed by Rusev. You and me both, man. I mean, it seemed like he had been building such great momentum since coming up the NXT roster. I really was given this impression that the powers that be was really behind this guy, and like he was probably going to go further than Ricky Ortiz. Remember when he had the whole towel thing going on and he had the big afro and all that? Kind of seemed like maybe he was going to possibly succeed where Ortiz kind of failed a little bit or kind of slowed down a little bit. But yeah, very surprised that they just had him get squashed like that, man. It was like, huh? You know, very, very weird right there. See what else you got to say right here. Didn't even get a punch in. Mojo might want to get those. Looks like they cut you off, man. What else? There you go. Looks like Mojo might want to get those future endeavors ready. Oh, no, you didn't go there, man. You are crazy, man. You are crazy. All right. Keep those comments coming, though, guys. For those of you that had checked out NXT, love to know what you had thought about that. In the meantime, looks like we got all the interactions out the way for now, but keep the comments coming on how you like the NXT Takeover product, and we'll follow up on what you all have to say on our weekend edition of the RCWR show, which you'll be able to check out on Blog Talk Radio at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you join us for that. We'll get you guys caught up on the very latest in wrestling entertainment headlines, all that good stuff. For all the very latest on wrestling news and beyond, be kind, rewind, as we have episodes available for you all on Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio. God, we're everywhere, man. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. One more time, TNA Wrestling fans, 11:05 p.m. Eastern tonight. So basically in like about 25 minutes. Come on back on here, and we'll have that review for what all had came about from tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, along with TNA headlines. Once again, if you enjoyed this piece, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Share it by Google Plusing it, Facebooking it, retweeting it. One of the many ways you can spread the good word about our content. I will see you all in just a little bit. Meantime, be safe and be kind to one another, folks. I will see you next go round. Take care.